So, yeah, this trafficking case is deceptively uh, disguised as a divorce case, right? Okay, so the first thing that happens is Kevin tells me he's changed his name back to Kevin Alfonsi. You know, he's had a name change, and I'm like, okay, and I don't care, And he changed his name to my last name about 8 years after we were married. I think it was 8 years after that. And for whatever reason, he did it. Okay, so then it was, yeah, 2014. He told me that he changed his name back to Kevin Alfonsi. I'm like, okay, So anyway, divorce starts. I have Ken Goldman, and I'm served something, like 2 pages of crap saying you're gonna. I think it was the summons to appear in court. It was 2 pages. And I'm like, okay. And my boss hands it to me at work and said, while you were out on a route, they dropped crap off to you. And they didn't even say the court or server or anybody. Somebody dropped crap off to you in an envelope, and so they took it and then they handed it to me, and I'm like, okay. So then, I have Ken Goldman as my attorney. So I call him up and take my 2 pieces of paper over there. And, and then he enters the case, And so I don't know, this is staged before I even hire Ken. This is how deep and seedy this crime is. Mhm. So anyway, I don't know. I haven't been served divorce papers, right? They didn't want a divorce because he wanted to steal my trust fund. They wanted to steal my entire estate, and then they were going to traffic me, right? Or murder me. They ask I get life insurance in my son's guardianship case, so I'm pretty sure they were set on murder. Could be. All I know is they'll transmute some energy your way, and you're going to be very nice. I don't know who it's going to hit, so do whatever you wish. Yeah, transmutation of energy has always happened. Every time you work for somebody for 8 hours, you're transmuting energy for that person. And then the other people can do it different ways, right? So anyway, God gave me a gift, and so I start getting downloaded every seedy, nasty thing that they did. But he knows that he's going to have to take me through a long-ass journey because this was a staged-out crime, right? It was done to steal my trust fund that my mother will leave me. It's done to steal the real estate I'm on today. It's done to steal my identity. Just strip me of everything I own, including my dogs, right? Everything, right? I don't exist by the time they're done with me, right? So that's what's going to happen. So anyway, we go through this divorce, and they force me to take this Endeavor side property. And I don't even want it. I'm like, let's split it all. Let's sell it all and split the proceeds. I don't want the Endeavor side. And all the boys in court are demanding I take this Endeavor side property. They had to have me have it, right? For this crime to go down. So anyway, I take the Endeavor side property. I don't have any choice about it. And because they can't get it appraised. Nobody in Alaska will appraise the property. Yeah. It's got its own story. Because this was set up before the divorce to conflict the title on my property so I couldn't sell it, so they could target me, including, I believe, poisoning our well, which has caused liver damage to my son, which isn't fatal liver damage, but he got poisoned, along with the cat, and for whatever reason, it didn't touch me, or anybody else, so, and we wouldn't have known, because the well was pulled in 2022, and I don't know it till 2024, so anyway, yeah, that happened. So much has happened. So anyway, I go because a friend comes on and he says, Kim, you're in a fake divorce. You're in a pretended divorce. So after divorce is done, they keep still dragging me back to court. So a decree was issued on 8/31/2017. And I go into Vital Records and they tell me, your ex didn't file suit in his legal name. And I'm like, what's his legal name? And she goes, well, we got the motion to amend decree and restore plaintiff's name back to Kevin Alfonsi. And I'm like, what was his name? And they're like, Kevin Alfonsi LG. And I'm like, great, so So that happens. She goes, you're going to have to go back to the court and motion for a decree to be issued in his legal name, Kevin Alfonsi LG, before we can give you a certificate of divorce. We can't do it otherwise. So I go back to court and I motion for it. And Kevin says in opposition that he's never used that name, Kevin Alfonsi LG. And then he goes on to say that I've used the name Kim Alfonsi. I've never used that name. Ever. But that's a name that will be given to probate in my mother's death, right? So anyway, I have no idea, all this stuff is going on, but God's very well aware of it. He sees, like, what did my friend say? He says, I said, so how do you see it? And he goes, you know how you look down from really far, really high above, and you look like a little ant farm. He goes, that's how it's seen, from a higher perspective. You can see what they're doing. So then, of course, God sees it from a higher perspective and he delivers the information, right? So then all of a sudden I'm like, great. He didn't file suit in his legal name. Great. So I tell the court don't care. There's a trust fund. There's real estate. There's trafficking going on. Court don't care. What is that? What law does that violate? Civil Rule Pro 7? What is that? Civil Rule Pro 10. That's 7. Civil Rule Pro 10. And a Civil Rule Pro 10 is plaintiff must file suit in his full legal name as he knows it, right? Which was Kevin Alfonsi LG. Well, he didn't purposely do it because he was going to put that name on my trust fund. So it's in Civil Rule Pro 10 under Forms and Pleadings. Plaintiff must file suit in his full legal name as he knows it. And, he must also use the other party's name fully. Well, there was no Alfonsi in that name either. It's for me, right? For me. So anyway, my name's always been Kim LG since 1999. But they'd soon change that, right? Okay. So, and also, what he did too is Title 24, Alaska State Statute, Title 24, Chapter 24, changing your name in divorce and annulment. They violated that law too. So he went all the way through court using a non-legal name, got a decree issued in that non-legal name, which they intentionally did to do an estate robbery. And you can't do that because when you go through divorce, that original decree, the one and only decree you should ever have, should have your name change on that one decree, the first original one. Now, if you want to go, and that's to be in your divorce, and it's be talked about during trial, not in a sneaky, crappy trial afterwards, which they did, right? So he had a name change within a divorce case, which is what? It's illegal. It's not done legal. So he never had a legal name change. Okay, under that Alaska State Statute, Title 25, Chapter 24. So they helped him hide his legal name all the way through court because they're still in my trust fund, my estate, and they're going to make me disappear, right? So they do that. And, I even bring it up, and then Lancaster immediately wants to close the case. And higher-ups told her, oh, no, we're screwing Miss LG over. We can do anything we want in this case. No laws apply to Miss LG. Yeah, well, God's laws apply to Miss LG, and you'll soon find that out. Yeah, there's going to be like I said, some transmuted energy. You send it my way, I'm going to send it back. Hope it kills you. I'm sorry, God. Hope it kills you. I hope it does. So anyway, they let him get away with it. They let him do a name change that's not legal, in a court of law. And, under Title 25, Chapter 24. So what did he need to do in order to change his name back? Once he didn't do it in divorce, he didn't even use his legal name. He didn't even get a court order to use the name he filed suit in until 10/24/2017. So he used the name to file suit, used it all the way through divorce, and didn't get a court order until after he used it all the way through court on 10/24/2017. They don't care. They don't care at all. because they're committing fraud. They're stealing my trust fund, my identity, and my real estate. They don't care. I'm a woman in the U.S., and especially in Alaska, they don't care. What are they going to do in Alaska? They're going to do what they do with a lot of women. They're going to make me disappear. That's what they're going to do. Yeah. So anyway, they go do this. So when should he, when he didn't change his name on that first decree, and he couldn't because he filed suit in his non-legal name, what did he need to do? Okay, well, he needed to motion to change his name. He needed to file for a name change, and he needed to do it in a separate lawsuit case. I've done both. You can see my name at the vital records, and you can see that I changed my name from Kim LG Owens back to Kim LG, and Kim LG with a separate name change because I didn't do it during divorce as required by law. So, and then you can see me doing it in divorce. Okay, when I got a divorce from John Owens in 1997, I changed my name from Kim Owens to Kim LG Owens, and it's right there on the certificate of divorce. And it shows on the divorce decree, me doing it. And so I can tell how you're legally supposed to do it, and it's reflected in Alaska State Statute Title 25, Chapter 24. They just broke all kinds of laws in this case. This wasn't a divorce case. This was an estate robbery, identity theft, and to me, an eventual murder. All right? Okay. Yeah, that's what this was. And it took family to do it too, right? It wasn't just officials, crusty officials. It was family involved in this, right? So I was the scapegoat child. So anyway, and I was deemed to be, retarded, by the prime hierarchy. You will be the retarded child. Yeah, with the low IQ. Nah, it doesn't matter what you say. You can say something that's blue. It's blue when it's obviously red, and you're just like, okay, in order to stay in this family, I have to say it's blue. So I guess I think I'll leave the family because I'm not going to lie about crap anymore, and that's the way it was. I wasn't going to do it. I wasn't going to assume the position. I wasn't going to do it. So I didn't. So anyway, I just keep asking because I need a certificate of divorce, because everybody tells me it's not a legal divorce because he didn't file suit in his legal name. And even under the FDCPA, the Fair Debt Collection Practices Act, you can't enter into contract with a non-legal name. Why is Alaska forcing me to do this? So then all of a sudden my deceased mother comes back. This is years later. This is this last October. And she leads me to the court docket. And she says, you haven't worked. And they put down a wage garnishment distribution, and they put it on the court docket. And my mom comes back and she says to me, you haven't worked and you made Kevin a payment of $119. Where's the money coming from? And I'm like, I don't know, Mom, and she's an accountant and I used to work for her. And she goes, where's the money coming from, Kim? And I'm like, I don't know, and I go look in William's bank account. My special needs son, yeah, they like to do crimes like this to us because we're vulnerable. Yeah, just little innocent, little vulnerable people they can take advantage of. But some of us can transmute energy on your mofo ass. And I'm not done. I'm not done. I'm just getting started. So anyway, it's true too. Oh yeah, I've got hate in my heart right now. I'm not supposed to. Earth angels aren't perfect. Yeah, vengeance is mine, saith the Lord. But he knows right now I'm a mad little angel, and he knows that, I have righteous justice. So he knows that right now I'm really PO'd. Yes, he should handle it. He definitely should. So anyway, yeah, they just do all this crap to us. So, he doesn't file suit in his legal name. They drag me through years and years and years and years and years and years and years of litigation. And the whole time, I'm asking the court for a legal divorce decree to be issued in his legal name, and I can't figure out why they won't do it. Why won't they do it? So then I get led to the trust writ of garnishment because my mom comes back from the dead, and she says, you know, where's that money coming from? And then all of a sudden, you know, she goes, you haven't worked, so we know it's not a wage garnishment disbursement. It's not one, Kim. It isn't. Keep looking at the docket. And I'm just like, I actually start crying. I go, I don't know what you want me to look at. And God's like, go from the bottom of the docket and go up one line at a time. You know, so I do. And then I see trust writ of garnishment. And then I'm like, oh. And I don't even know what I'm looking at. And my mom says, trust writ of garnishment. You know, and I'm like, and she does it like 2 times, 2 or 3. And I'm like, oh. And she go, you know, I go, they're still in a trust fund. She goes, yeah, they're still in your trust fund. I gave you a trust fund and they're still in it. And then she leads me to these Quackenbush liens to show where the trust fund is at. Then the most leading evidence lately, and I think she wants me to go somewhere. Yeah, I usually don't get called from home, but she wants me to go somewhere. Okay, so then she leads me to my attorney, who said he would look into my mother's probate case for me. He said, your mother died. Do you want me to look into it for you? And I said, okay. That was his card. That was his in, right? And they set it up anyway before he filed for divorce in his non-legal name. So your husband, of course, could be on that trust fund, right? Yeah, especially if you deem your wife as mentally incompetent in probate court, right? Yeah. So that's what they did. It's the only way they could get a hold of my trust fund is to show up in Arizona with falsified identification for me. We know from Kevin's opposition, he said I used the name Alfonsi later and started to use it when I never did. So we know the name Kim L.G. Alfonsi's on there. And that was the name my mother called me, right? So if she left me anything, she would leave it in Kim L.G. Alfonsi. It would be in her will. And then my brother George also refers to me in his Ancestry.com as Kim L.G. Alfonsi, you know. And so they all knew about it too. Family knew about this fraud. So, but what do they call me in the newspaper one that proves, this is proof that you contacted everybody, your obituary and all family members named in there. They put my name as Kim Alfonsi. Why didn't my brother say, oh no, that's not her name, it's Kim L.G. Alfonsi, which it's not. But if it's in his Ancestry.com, why isn't it in the obituary? They could have found me at least under Kim L.G., you know, when they started looking for me. They didn't want anybody looking for me. They were doing a state robbery, a trust fund robbery, and that whole thing, right? So anyway, yeah, they never look for Kim L.G., right? So yeah, they don't do that. And they never did. So there's proof by the obituary. They never contacted me. They never looked for me. And there's proof that people went into court, falsified documents, as me, used a false POA, deemed me BS crazy, which I do not have any record ever of being, and stole my inheritance, right? So that's what they did. And it's money, you know, that comes in all the time. So, you know, and so what do they need? They need rid of me, you know, because they got the fake me living with my husband because we're not really divorced. So, in this case, besides Kevin filing suit in his non-legal name, he established his residency in Dixon, California before he filed for divorce, hauled all the construction equipment out of Alaska, crossed state lines, crossed a border, took all his construction equipment to Dixon, California, to his friend's home, and started establishing residence there. Okay, and then he comes back to Alaska, and he files suit in his non-legal name. Well, he's got my trust fund now, in the name Kevin Alfonsi Elgie, right? Okay. So, yeah, that's what happens. So then my mom leads me to these liens that shows where the trust fund is located in Alaska. And it shows that his attorney and that law firm are managing my trust. So my husband, his attorney in my fake divorce is also the trust manager at the trustee firm. Yeah. Talk about a conflict of interest, right? So, and this is what really, I knew I was being trafficked. I could tell they were going to come knock on my door and kidnap me, right? It's a kidnapping, or what did they say? Adult napping is what this girl said. They were going to adult nap you. And I'm 64, so it's time to adult nap me, right? So anyway, his attorney, you got to remember, they got Kim L.G. Alfonsi, the one with the trust fund, living in Dixon, California, as a mentally incompetent person, right? They have her living in California with Kevin. But there's the real Kim L.G. Now, she's going to be a problem as long as she's alive, right? Yeah. And where is she living? She's living in Alaska, right? Okay, so we got to get rid of her. We got to get rid of her. Okay, so all of a sudden, his attorney serves me a writ to take my home, my property, by email. Now, in Alaska, your primary physical address, you have exemptions, right? And so your property would go to auction, right? And you would get like $85,000 of your price. This is over a $500,000 estate. We don't know what its true value is because nobody in Alaska is allowed to appraise it. So I took government officials to do this crime, right? So anyway, so all of a sudden, she starts serving me writs by email. How are writs supposed to be served in Alaska? By certified restricted mail or registered process server. They won't do it. They can't do it, right? First of all, I have a guardian and conservatorship over me, right? And I'm living in Dixon, California at my primary residence. But the real Kim L.G.'s living where? At her primary residence in Alaska. So they can't serve me any writs. I can't sign anything because they've given me a guardian and a payee and conservator. So I can't sign crap. They know it, right? But she could, in fact, I was looking at those last papers that she filed, and it looks like she was doing the guardianship conservatorship thing. So, but now they got to kidnap me. They've dragged this on for 9 years. I'm now 64. So it's a prime time to say that I have lost my mental faculties. I need a manager, or just kidnap me, keep keep the Kim L.G. Alfonsi in Dixon, California, and just execute the real Kim L.G. and get I get life insurance in my son's guardianship case, right? So if they kill me and bury me, there's still a Kim L.G. Alfonsi living in Dixon, California. She can have an unfortunate accident too. Probably $1 million out of both of us dying, right? So all of a sudden I start looking, and she served me multiple writs, 10, and then I look on the court docket and I see, oh my God, they've never served me any writs by legal process. Look at all these writs. And one of them was a trust fund writ. So I start looking. There's all these writs, and they're not successfully served. I'm like, oh my God, And then I'm like, okay, they trafficked me. Where am I living? I'm living somewhere. Where do they have the fake me living? Because I know now they've stolen a trust fund. They have my ass living somewhere else, okay? Well, all of a sudden, I get sent corporate paperwork on Kevin in Dixon, California. 5420 Dixon Street, West, Dixon, California. I finally find out where the Kim L.G. Alfonsi's living. So I'm like, oh my God, they got me living in Dixon, California at that address. And, apparently I've been there since 2013. I think he just changed his address and his name just recently when I started showing online that, go away. When I started showing online that they stole my trust fund, So anyway, I think he changed his name again. I'm damn positive he changed it right back to Kevin Alfonsi now, and hid the Kevin Alfonsi LG. So anyway, so that's what happened. So all of a sudden I'm looking on this this paperwork. It was LLC paperwork from California, and it said Advanced Builders of California. And I'm kind of like, okay, well, this was done after divorce. This was in 2019. So anyway, I look further, and there's a page attached to it, and it says business, 6 years, and it's now changed because an agent went in and changed it. 6 years and 2 months old is the age of the business. Well, that puts it back to 2013. Okay, Kevin didn't file suit, and he's establishing residency in California. I have no idea. They've stolen my identity. They put me in California. Is Kim L.G. Alfonsi? I have no idea, right? And so, And so then I'm like, oh my God, they've had me a California resident since 2013. Okay, and now they got an issue because they got to erase me, the real me. They got to erase me. You know, they got to get rid of me, and that's why when she serves all those writs, she sent one by priority mail. She sent one by tons of them by emails because she got excited because she knew she hates my guts. Mm-hmm. I'm glad too, because I hate you too. And I have something extra special for you. Can't see it, can't touch it, but it's coming for you, honey. So anyway, God gave me a gift, in case you didn't know. Yeah. Anyway, all it is, it's transmutation. They send crap my way. I just get to change its shape, form, and send it right back. I create nothing. It's all created from their crap. So anyway, she sends me all these writs, and I start looking, and the writs never say this is my primary physical address. And I'm like, okay. And then after she does this, she sends me like 13 of them. She'll never send it by legal process, certified restricted mail, or a registered process server. And then I'm like, oh my God. You know, I get sent the corporate paperwork and I go, that's where you're living, and that's why she won't recognize this as a exempt property. And then, yeah, I mean, she's like, and I have a special needs son. What are you going to do with him? Did you have a life insurance policy on him too? Because this one girl told me they actually take special needs people, make them disappear, and their parents never see them again. What do you do? Do you kill them and bury them? I want to know. Huh? Is that what you do? Huh? Yeah. Yeah. Uh-huh. I want to know. Concerned about my son. Yeah, since our well got poisoned and everything too, because I feel it did. You didn't pull it for nothing. You wanted to make the electric run 24 hours a day. What else did you do to us? Yeah, so what else? They did a lot of stuff to us. They stalked us right on this very property. They broke into my Wi-Fi. They erased the text messages on my phone. And then they go into court and they say I didn't do visitation, and Judge Cagle punishes me for not doing visitation. When everybody knows what? When everybody knows what? I couldn't do visitation because my husband was a California resident. Yeah, so I couldn't. And it explains his long absences, why he was gone all the time. You know, he decided he'd live in a building next to me during divorce. So he broke in all the time when he was around, right? So he didn't have a main residence. Then he lived with his friend Cherish up the road. So he didn't have a residence. Why? Because his primary residence was California. So anyway, as they do this, I start getting downloaded. You know, God's going to download me. And he told me, you know, they use William. And you can see on the court docket, if you look at the court docket, you will see every time I motion that they're, you know, hey, you know, I need a divorce decree, or hey, whatever, they will immediately distract the whole case. They accused me of beating my child. They did everything and dragged me into court for beating my kid. And then I ran into the principal, and the principal's like at the high school, and she's like, I just saw him. He's as happy as he always is. And he was in art class, and, you know, I was just fuming mad. And she goes, this is a lie. This is a lie. And I go, I know, but, you know, they're the law. They're the law. What am I going to do in court when they're the law? They're stealing my identity. They're the law. They plan on making me disappear. They're the law. What am I going to do? You know, how am I going to stop them if they show up with fraud? They already showed up to probate court with false identity for me, using false guardianship and conservatorship, and a falsified power of attorney and falsified medical. So what's to stop them from showing up at my door? You know, doing the same thing and just kidnapping me, adult napping me, other than me just friggin' murdering them. Yeah, which I would do. If you're gonna kidnap me, I'm gonna friggin' kill your ass. That's a promise.